So now we are starting with the second session, and the second session is the same prakarana or the Sthita Prajna prakarana, but this more focused on how to control the senses and how to control the mind. So this is a very, very important part of sadhana. If you want to have samatva in the mind, mind control is a very, very important part of the entire sadhana to achieve jnana. Without the mind control, one cannot achieve any jnana. One cannot make our buddhi or our intellect firm or sthira. So here it starts with this first shloka, the third question. It's a beautiful shlok. It says, Yada samharate chayam kurmongani va sarvashah indriyanindriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratishtita. So this is the third question where Lord Arjuna asked him asita. How does he sit? What is his mind? How does he control his mind? And here Lord Krishna gives an example of a turtle, kurma, kurmongani va sarvashah. So and he describes the indriya sanyam, how we can control our indriya or the sense organs and the mind. So it says yada means just as the turtle withdraws all its limbs into its shell, kurmongani va sarvashah, all the limbs. Samharate means withdraws. Indriyanindriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratishtita. So similarly, Sthita Prajna withdraws all his sense organs from the sense objects, and only then he attains the firm wisdom. So this is what Lord says. This is how, just like a turtle, whenever he sees a problem, then he withdraws all the limbs. A person, when he goes and is exposed to some objects which try to attract him, then he should try and withdraw all his sense organs so that he doesn't get attached to those objects and does not get into this situation. So for this you need, in Vyavahara you need a lot of awareness, sajagata, and in the man you need some control or sanyama, and in buddhi you need samajhdari. So these are the three important parts that are essential for this, and we will go a little bit into detail to understand why God has given example of turtle. What are the things that we can learn from a turtle actually? So indriya sanyam or sense control, as you know, we have 5 jnanendriyas through which we get all the jnana through the senses. Like chakshu indriya gives us the the jnana of the rupa or the akara. Shrotrendriya, we can hear all the shabda or the words, that gives us the jnana. Rasanendriya gives us the taste. Jnanendriya and tvagendriya, that is the skin. So these are all the jnanendriyas, and then there are 5 karmendriyas. These karmendriyas are vak, pani, pat, payu, upastha, means the hands, the feet, even the tongue, because we speak, that is also called a karma, vachik karma, and payu and upastha. So these are the 5 karmendriyas. So there are 10 indriyas that we all have, through which the indriyas are basically considered as, like, they are called reporters. They report the events from outside and takes us inside in our mind for processing. So ultimately, whatever we see in the environment, in the external environment, through the indriya, it goes into our mind. So indriya are those very important, the goalposts outside, which process information and give it to our mind. And then ultimately it's up to our mind to decide, and then the mind will give it to the brain, and the brain can take a decision. Brain, buddhi ka man ka jo kaam hai, mind, ekka sankalpa vikalpa, means it takes a lot of options, it takes and evaluates the options. Whereas buddhi is the, it causes the nishchaya. So the decision making part or the memory part is with the buddhi. So this is how our mind works. This is what our shastras tell us. The natural tendency of this indriya is to go out. That's the natural tendency. They are all bahirmukha. It is said that they are paranchi khani. They keep on, getting all the, going towards all the objects. They are very, very chanchala. They are very bahirmukh. The moment we all have experience, we are reading something, the moment you hear or the moment you see something, your mind starts diverting from one step to the other, then it jumps to the another thought. From there, you go to the another thought, and what we are reading is something that we have lost. your mind keeps wandering. So this is how Indriya and the Mana, they are all both are very, very Bahirmukha. Now, Vishaya is outside, or the objects. Indriya is something that takes this Vishaya to the Mana. Mana then takes it to the Buddhi, and then finally it goes to the Atma. Atma is the Paramatma. You can call it the same. Atma, Paramatma, they are all the same. It's basically the Lord or the Bhagwan or Ishvara, or you may call it by different names. You may call it by Brahma, you may call it by Chaitanya. There are different names that is given, but this is essentially, so this is how, Mana is in the center. On this side are Indriya and Vishaya, and on this side are Buddhi and the Atma. So Mana is very, very important for the controller. So if it takes the Vishaya and the Indriya, the Mana takes, the Indriya takes the Mana away into the Vishaya, it is called Harate. That means it takes it outside, steal karke le jaate hai, haran karke. Whereas if the Mana is calm, cool, and it is able to control itself, then it will not be going on this side, it will go towards the Buddhi side. That is called as a Samharanate. That means it is more under control, it is more cultivated. Indriya Sanyama is very important. This is called Dhamma, and Manaka Sanyama is called Shama. Both are important. It starts with first the Indriya Sanyama, but Indriya Sanyama ke liye bhi Mana or Manaka Sanyama, both are important, both are dependent on each other. So the entire journey of an aspirant is to discipline the mind, which is like a monkey. It keeps going from one branch to the other, and maturity of the mind takes a lot of time and efforts. It is not that the mind matures naturally. Just like body grows over the period of time, our organs grow, our height grows, everything grows naturally. Similarly, mind doesn't grow naturally, but has to work, put in some efforts, time, and mature. There are so many people whose body have grown, age has grown, but the mind is still like a child, because itna jid hota hai, itna har ek na agra hota hai, duragra hota hai, itna strong feelings, strong ideas about things, flexibility is not there. So mind maturity takes a lot of time and requires a lot of efforts. But gradually, as you keep doing efforts, generally we don't do much efforts to train our mind. That's a problem, because it keeps naturally working and we don't know how it works, and we don't put a lot of efforts to ensure that we discipline or we cultivate our mind, which is a very, very important part of the sadhana. So gradually it becomes effortless and becomes habitual, and then you don't have to control it. Initially you need some control, trying to control or suppress or control the mind, but gradually once it is cultivated, then it becomes effortless or habitual. Now with the kurma or a turtle example, what does God try to tell us? Lord Krishna tries to tell us that the turtle is very hard or strong from outside and soft from inside, right? Similarly, we should also remain strong in adversities or difficulties, and we should be soft when we are conducting ourselves in this world with different people, right? Turtle is also very proactive. It is not a lazy animal like a crocodile. It will keep moving. If it is moving in the water, it will keep moving. It comes on the land, also it keeps moving. It also does long journeys. It utilizes time. It knows that our spiritual sadhana is also a very, very long journey, and that's why we should try and utilize our time to the maximum. We shouldn't waste our time, and we should start early, because whenever we are young, our man, buddhi, shakti is better, and we can use this for doing our sadhana rather than doing it in the elderly time whenever we are already retired. That is not the best time to do this, because this knowledge that we get from the Shastra is something that we can use it in our life. There's no point living our life and then getting the knowledge. We have to get it while we are living our life. So together it has to be done while we are in the karma, while we are in the phase of our, we have to understand how we are going to conduct ourselves in this life. Kurma or a turtle has a lot of patience. There is no haste. If you see a shigra, बहुत ही important है. They are always slow and steady. They keep moving. They are never in a haste. They don't want to reach fast. And everybody, all of you must have read the story of the turtle and the hare. Rabbit or turtle की जो story है, बहुत ही सुंदर story है. That the rabbit goes very fast, but then he comes to the finishing line. He feels कि अभी तो मैं पहुंच गया. He takes some rest. He goes to sleep. And the turtle slowly and steadily wins the race. So every change happens very slowly, and even in life we have to keep doing the same thing again and again. Nothing happens in haste. Everything, say for example, you want to build a beautiful house, it has to be a brick after brick after brick, and only with this you can build a nice house. So everything, हमारा गुजरात में तो गुजराती में एक कहावत बोलती है, टीपे टीपे सरोवर भराए, means with every drop of water you can fill a lake. So everything takes little bit time. You have to keep doing the same little thing all the time, again and again, to make it happen. So this is what we have to learn from the turtle. He does persistent effort, he keeps walking, always keeps walking. Whatever path you are on, whether it is, whatever are your goals, you have to keep walking always. And this has to be done with a lot of enthusiasm and courage, because there will be a lot of hurdles on this path, and one don't have to lose that, that zeal or the enthusiasm to achieve to the goal. So with this, and the goal must always be in our mind, it should not be lost. If you take a turtle who is going from one water body to the other, if you pick up the turtle and place it somewhere else, it will find the way and it will reach that second water body where it was planning to go. So the turtle's goal is always very clear in the mind, does not get lost. And the turtle is very, very aware at each step. After taking one or two steps, it will take out its head, it will see everywhere, and then see if there is no danger, then it will take a few more steps. Then again it will see whether there is any danger. If there is a danger, then it will withdraw everything, all the limbs, and just sit silently for some time, and then again come out and see. So it's very aware. Every step of your life, we have to be aware. We have to think of the consequences, what we are doing, how we are doing, rather than just keeping the same thing again and again. And something which has not taken us to our goal for so many years, we are doing the same thing. And if we still continue to do the same thing again and again, it is not going to reach us to our goal. So we have to think what is good for us, what is not good for us, where do we want to reach, how do we want to reach. God has given us enough intellect and Buddhi Shakti to think and be aware at every step. So the next shloka says, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param drashtva nivartate. So this also is a very nice, very important shloka which says that rasa की निवृत्ति परमात्मा दर्शन से होती है. So it says विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिना. The objects are renounced when the senses do not feed on the objects for one who dwells in the body, dehina. So it means that somebody decides कि भाई मेरे को I don't want to go into too many objects, I just want to renounce from them and I don't want to feed on that. Say for example, suppose आपने एक decide किया कि मेरे को एकादशी करना है. एकादशी means one fast on a 11th on the 11th day of the Tithi, you want to do one Ekadashi or one fast. Or every Monday you want to do a fast. In the evening you want to eat only fruits. You have decided. But what happens is on the same Monday, there is some very nice, delicious dish is made in the home, our home, and our starts watering. We have decided that we are not going to eat today, we are just going to have fruits. But now that the desire is already there, that I want to eat this, it's a beautiful thing, but already now that I've decided I should not eat, I should just eat fruits. So then what happens is that somebody from our home will tell us, that okay, I'll keep it for you, you can eat it tomorrow. So we are very happy, okay, I'll eat it tomorrow. So this is called as a rasa. The rasa is there, you have already decided that you don't want to eat it. Your senses, your organs have gone away. But this rasa or the desire or the kamana or the akarshana of these particular objects, it always stays in our mind. And this can actually desire, it can only go away by param drashtva nivartate. So Lord tells us that you can only get this rasa relieved by knowing the Almighty God, Brahma, Ishvara, whatever you call it. So with this, so there has to be an element of that, faith on the higher power, which is very important to get away from all these addictions, dushana, durvasana, or from all this. It is very important to have this kind of a param drashtva attitude, that there is a higher power, there is a Lord, I want to do something for that Lord who has done so much for us. That kind of a attitude, if it is there, then it will definitely help us. And if you see, for example, giving an example of a group called Alcoholics Anonymous. There's a group, you must have heard about this group, which helps people to de-addict themselves from alcohol. Alcohol is also an object of substance abuse. One is addicted to it, and to get over it, there is a group therapy. So the people sit in the group and then they discuss about, how they can get, whenever there is a nimitta. Nimitta means there is, some cue or a trigger, how they should behave. They should call somebody, they should discuss, they should substitute alcohol with something else. So these are all the methods, the group principles, understanding. But one of the important things in that group is also a faith in the higher power to help the person to relieve them from their addiction. So this param drashtva nivartate, final relief of rasa. Bhagavana says that final relief of rasa is only by param drashtva nivartate, this desire, that final rasa which remains after you have renounced your sense organs, that is also relieved by the param drashtva. So the next shloka says, yatato yapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. So this shloka tells us about how powerful the indriyas are. Indriya की प्रबलता कितनी है, ये इस श्लोक से भगवान हमको बताते हैं. Yatato yapi. Yatato means, yatata person means a person who makes his effort. He is a sadhaka. He is making all his efforts to control his mind. He is aware. He is, having all the methods he has learned. He is trying his best. He is viveki. He is vipaschitaha. Vipaschita is viveki, who sees clearly what is good, what is not good, what I should do, what I should not do. ऐसे person के लिए भी इंद्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि, this powerful sense organs of ours, indriyani, haranti prasabham manah. It takes away the mind by force. जब उसको अच्छा लगता है ये चीज देखना, रूट कोई देखना अच्छा लगता है, it'll tell मन, चलो मन हम जाते हैं, ये देखना है. मन बोल रहा है हाँ मैं तो तैयार ही हूँ, चलो रेडी, हम भी आते हैं. तो दोनों फिर जाकर फिर they enjoy this object, right? So this, it very clearly tells us how indriya is so powerful and it takes away the mind. Haranti prasabha vanaha. So finally, Arjuna must have asked Bhagwan, mere ko kya karna hai, what I should do. So Lord says, Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasya indriyani tasya pragna pratishtita. Means मन और इंद्रिय का सर्व तरह से संयम करने के लिए भगवान अर्जुन को बता रहे हैं, कह रहे हैं कि कंट्रोल ऑल योर सेंस ऑर्गन्स. तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य, ऑल योर सेंस ऑर्गन्स मस्ट बी अंडर कंट्रोल. एक आध को आप छूट दे दोगे वो नहीं चलेगा. यू हैव टू कीप ऑल योर सेंस ऑर्गन्स अंडर योर कंट्रोल. I don't want to go into very details of this understanding because there is a Satta Grahan, Asatta Grahan, how to have Viveka, Vairagya, Sajata, what are binding desires, what are non-binding desires. So, but basically, Bhagavan says that Yukta is the person who has control over his mind, or he is in a Samatva, and his Asita, he has a Drad Nishchay, he is sitting in Matparaha. Matparaha is Atma Parayana. So बुद्धि का उपयोग करो, आत्म परायण होकर, भगवत परायण होकर मेरे में बैठो आप. That's what God is telling Arjuna. And Vashehi Asya Indriyani, one whose senses are under control, only that person will have a firm wisdom, or his knowledge will be firmly established. Tasya prajna pratishtita. So Sita prajna banana hai, to Indriya Sanyam is the most important thing. That is what Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna here. That you have to control all your senses, you have to control your mind, you have to have a dृढ़ निश्चय. मत paraha, atma parayan ho jao, mere mein tum shraddha rakho. You know, with this, if you control all your senses with a dृढ़ निश्चय, then you will have pratishtha or firmness in your knowledge. Next, two shlokas are also very important and very nice shlokas. This shows us that somebody who does not do this, what happens to him? Somebody who is asanyami, who constantly thinks about the objects, विषयों और उसके लिए ध्यान करते रहते हैं. ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसः. So what happens? Somebody keeps thinking about the vishaya. संगस्ते शूपजायते, संगात संजायते कामः, कामात् क्रोधो विजायते. So Lord Krishna is showing us Patan ki CD. means a staircase in which we fall down, और 8 सोपान 8 steps दिखाया है कि किस तरह से अधोगति होती है, फॉल होता है. Okay, so it starts with ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसः. पुंसः विषयान ध्यायते. Person constantly thinks of the objects, and this thinking is a rasapurvaka shobhnavyas, thinking that this will give me happiness. अगर ये object मेरे पास आ गया, ये व्यक्ति मेरे पास आ गया, अगर मेरे को ये हासिल कर लिया तो मैं खुश हो जाऊंगा, मुझे बहुत आनंद मिलेगा. With this attitude, think about those objects. Second step is teshu sangah upajayate. So that means we get an attraction or an attachment with these objects. The third step is sangat sanjayate kamaha. Once we get an attachment with this object, then we get a kamana. Kamana is the desire to प्राप्त करना है, वो ऑब्जेक्ट मेरे पास होना चाहिए, उसके लिए एक डिजायर आ गया, कामना, राइट? कामात क्रोधः विजायते. So that means that, you know, once you have a desire, and if that desire gets fulfilled, it will keep happening again. It is not that एक बार में desire fulfill हो जाएगी. So desire fulfill होती है तो it causes moha, causes more attachment, it causes more desires. But if the desire does not get fulfilled, then it causes krodha or anger. Anger comes to anybody who does not allow us to fulfill our desire. जो व्यक्ति, जो वस्तु, जो चीज बीच में आती है वो कामना पूर्ति के, उसके प्रति एंगर होता है. So that is how anger develops. So these are the first 4 steps in this first shloka. What Krishna tells us, these are called bhavakoti, means some kind of a bhav is generated here, attachment is generated here, desire here, anger is generated. So the bhav is generated at this step. Till this 4th step, if somebody is very aware, it is still reversible. It does not go down. But the next 4 steps are more difficult and are more dangerous. So the next 4 steps is krodhat bhavati sammohah, sammohat smruti vibramah, smruti branshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. So this is also for the asayami who keeps thinking about the objects. संयम नहीं है, कोई माइंड के ऊपर कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है. पतन की 8 सीढ़ी जिसमें 4 पहले दिखाई है. Now Lord is showing us another 4 steps. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. So anger turns into delusion. मोह वृत्ति हो जाती है. Because of delusion, the बुद्धि शक्ति सोच नहीं सकती कि अभी क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करता है. We have all this, we experience this. Whenever there is too much of anger, we cannot decide what is good, what is not good. We can just behave in any different fashion, right? सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः. So जब बहुत ज्यादा सम्मोह, मोह हो जाता है तो स्मृति विभ्रम, स्मृति भ्रष्ट हो जाती है. स्मृति मतलब memory. Memory, if what we have learned so far, what somebody has told us, what we have learned, the good thing, what we should do, what we should not do, what are good for us, what is not good for us, all this smriti is lost. So this is also buddhi shakti. So buddhi shakti nash ho jati hai. Smriti branshad buddhi nasho. So when this memory is lost, buddhi shakti gets intellect destroyed. We cannot think what is good, what is not good. And when buddhi nashat pranashyati. So then when the buddhi काम नहीं करती है, then that person he ceases to become a person. Then there is no difference between the human being and an animal. So animal also does not have that buddhi shakti that the human being is endowed with. So if the human being who is endowed with this buddhi shakti is not in the situation to use that buddhi shakti, it's almost like he ceased to be a human being, he ceased to be a person, pranashyati. So these are the sopana for this kind of abhav koti. They lead to destruction and they will lead to pashita, animal-like behavior from this person, and this becomes irreversible. So one has to be very aware where we are going. At any step, we should try and control this. So finally, this is the 4th question, which was asked Kim Vrajeta. How does he walk in this life, in this world? How does he conduct himself? For which the Lord answers, Krishna answers, Raga Dvesha Vyuktaistu Vishayan Indriyashcharan Atma Vashyai Vidhe Atma Prasadam Adhikachati. So he says the attitude, how he conducts his life, Raga Dvesha Vyuktaha Vyuktehe Vivyuktaihi Indriyai Vishayan Charan, means that he moves in this world which are full of objects, free from his very strong likes and dislikes, right? So Raga Dvesha means strong likes and dislikes. And these are some of the root causes of the problems. We will come to it, what it is and how we can avoid these problems. Atma Vashye Vidheyatma Prasadam Adhikachati. Means when the senses are under control, the mind is controlled, and a person, when he relates to this world with this kind of a control, he achieves eternal peace or tranquility. So prasada matlab prasannata. Prasada here does not mean that prasad buddhi or the Bhagwan se jo prasad aata hai, it's not that meaning. It means prasannata means eternal joy, bliss, happiness or tranquility. So if somebody can only achieve this when his senses and his mind is under control, and when he relates to the objects of the world with this kind of mind, then he achieves the tranquility. So let us see what are these raga dvesha. Raga dvesha are the root cause of problems. In many shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says raga dvesha sabse bade shatru hai, enemies hai, you should try and control them. So let's understand what is raga. Raga means it is basically sukha vritti, that this person or this object should be with me. So to this we develop a kind of a desire, kamana, and if this kamana or desire is not fulfilled, it causes anger. So it's basically that I like this person and I like this object, I like that, that's why they should be with me, and that should be all the time. So that kind of a vritti, sukhakar vritti, is called a raga. Similarly, dvesha is a dukkha vritti. We dislike some persons, we don't like their presence in our closeness or in proximity. There are some objects that we dislike, some relationships we dislike. We have strong grudges towards a lot of our relationships. So ये सब है जो भावना हमारी अंदर कि ये व्यक्ति मेरे से दूर होना चाहिए. अगर वो मेरे पास आता है तो मुझे I get angry, or sometimes I even resort to violence. So this kind of vritti is called dvesha vritti. It's trying to avoid that person or that object, and when that object comes to me, I get dukkha. So dukkha vritti causes this dvesha vritti. So raga dvesha, basically they are in the mind, they are in a sushupta avastha, means they are in a dormant state. But when there is a nimitta means that some kind of a outside nimitta. Say for example, that person comes up suddenly, somebody whom we hate, we don't want that person to come up, that person comes up in front of us, that nimitta has come. So suddenly this dvesha vritti will become very powerful, and then it will drive me towards doing a behavior that I'm going to do, right? So our Guruji tells us that this kind of raga dvesha, they create some kind of impressions in our mind, and this is because indriya and man उसे जागृत करने में काम लगाते हैं. So they are the nimitta, they are the instruments which arise this raga dvesha. Either it is the indriya, the sense organs, it sees something, it listens to something, or it tastes something, then suddenly that dvesha or a raga vritti comes up. Suppose we like some taste and that taste comes to us, then suddenly we want to have it more and more, right? So similarly, or it could be just in the mana, it could be just a thought. There is no vastu or vishaya or object in front of you, but just a thought in the mind suddenly activates all the dvesha or a raga vritti. It is possible we are sitting silently, we're just sitting, enjoying something, good music, suddenly some thought comes up, and then this vritti starts up in our mind, and then it makes us, makes us miserable. So miseries can be because of indriya or because of mana, and this kind of creates kind of a chap or an impression on our mind. So this is what is a raga or a dvesha. And our Guruji tells us that this is something similar to how previously when we didn't have the digital cameras, we had these roll cameras, where there was a roll, a negative roll, and on this, when you click the image, there is an impression of the photograph on this image, which you have to then develop, and then you get a photograph. So these are kind of impressions which develop on the mind because of the raga dvesha. But how the jnani works? So how his mind works? His mind works like a mirror. So that in the mirror, when you see in the mirror, you see your image, but when you go away, there is no impression which is left. There is no impression. Kuch chipakta nahi hai wahan. Everything keeps moving as the reality keeps moving. So similarly, Gnani ka man bhi aisa hi hota hai, mirror jaisa. That the impressions don't stick up. These raga, dvesha, these kind of impressions, they don't stick up in their mind, and that's why they are able to remain away from these strong likes and dislikes or the raga dvesha, and that's how they can remain in a samatva bhavna, so that whatever sukha, dukkha, success, failure, raga, dvesha, all the garmi, sardi, thandi, all these different dvandva, so pairs of opposites, he can endure, he can sahan kar sakte hai. So that is how the mind works in for a jnani. So Indriya Sanyam, it's a very important part of training for the sadhana, and raga dvesha जो वृत्ति होती है हमारी, उससे भगवान हमको कहते हैं कि you have to rise above this, you go to a point of a upeksha vritti. So even if there is a strong likes or dislikes, उसको neutralize करना है. This raga dvesha vritti neutralize करने के लिए the best option is what is called as the upeksha. Upeksha means you don't give too much of importance. उसको इतना regards नहीं देना, इतना importance नहीं देना, इतना महत्व उसको नहीं देना है. So that you don't give too much importance to that person, to that object, to that relationship, to that vyakti, which gives you a strong like or a dislike, then it is called an upeksha vritti. So with this upeksha vritti, you can rise above the raga or a dvesha vritti and can then sit in what is called as a samatva. So this is how the mind of a jnani works. And in Bhagavad Gita, it is very beautifully described that, how our indriya, mana or buddhi, how they are like a chariot. So indriya are like horses. They just want to go somewhere here, there, the other. If they are not properly trained, the horses will go in different directions. But if they are trained, they will go in one direction altogether. So indriya are like horses. Uske upar man jo hai, it's a lagam. So this lagam is very important to control or cultivate the horses. And this lagam is in the hands of course, here it is in the hands of the Sarathi, who is Shri Krishna. But Buddhi is our Sarathi. So basically, it's our Buddhi who has to do the job of cultivating our mind, and our mind will ultimately control our senses. So this is how we can control our mind. And if we have control of our mind, if we have this, man ke upar vijay, that is actually the true success of our life. You may have a lot of other success, outward achievement, a lot of objective or worldly achievements, but unless we have we are peaceful with our own self, we have controlled our mind in such a way that things, general normal things, don't upset us, don't bother us, don't disturb our peace of mind, that is called as a true success, or in my opinion, that is a true success of life. So the next shloka says, Prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasya upajayate prasanna chetaso yashu buddhihi paryavatishtate. So this tells us that indriya sanyam jo karte hai, uska phala, yukta person jo indriya sanyam jisne kiya hai, so yukta person, what kind of fruits does he get, what kind of benefits does he get? So he says, Prasade sarva dukkhanam. So his mind becomes peaceful. Somebody who has done a mind control, raga dvesha unka शिथिल हो गया है, न्यूट्रलाइज हो गया, और ज्यादा strong likes dislikes नहीं रहा, they are living with a lot of peace. All his miseries disappear. It says prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasya upajayate. All the miseries are disappeared, and prasanna chetasa buddhi parevatishtate means a person with a peaceful, controlled mind. His intellect also soon becomes firm, and he becomes a sthita prajna, or he gets established in knowledge. So Indriya Sanyam, Manas Sanyam, it's very, very important, because this gives us the peace of mind, which is very important. It also helps our buddhi to become firm and firmly established in sthita prajna. So peace of mind, that God calls prasada here, prasannata or happiness, it should be our first priority. It should be our first priority at any cost. We should have this priority, even if it amounts to spending a lot of money to get a peace of mind. I think that should be our first priority. And that attitude, our attitude towards person who is a successful person, should feel happy for him. For a person who is needy, we should have some kind of a compassion. Or a person who is greedy, we should have a disregard. Rather than uski ninda karne se better hai just disregard that person. Don't ultimately think bad about the person. That kind of attitude also we should not develop. Avoid all these negative jealousy, greed, disrespect, anger should be avoided as much as possible. And we should not major on minor things. There are so many small little minor things. We should try and keep them at our own state little place. We should think, what is the final goal for us? What do we want to achieve? If that is the bigger goal for us, then these small little things that happen daily in our life, they should not disturb our peace of mind. So with this understanding, we can actually learn from the learned, the saints, the gurus, the jnanis. These are the people who are in our world around us. So we can learn a lot from our teachers and our saints and other wise people. They could be in the part of your family. They could be your father, your mother, your brother, your sister. They could be your son, your daughter. They could teach you how you could maintain the peace of your mind. And the secret of this peace of mind or shanti is that it is attained only with tyaga. Tyaga means you have to let go. You don't have to, in the worldly area, whatever you acquire, you gain something by acquiring. Here, when it comes to the more subtle domain, here, whatever you want to acquire, you can acquire only by letting go of certain things. So, aapko agar, we have a lot of strong feelings for somebody, some person, you just let go of that feeling and then we'll have a peace of mind. So let going a lot of things will give us more peace of mind. Nasti buddhira yuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shanti ashantasya kuta sukha. So here God also talks about the ayukta purusha, somebody who is ayukta, who has not achieved that mind control or indriya sanyam, उसको नहीं achieve किया है अभी तक, तो उसको क्या होता है? So ayuktasya buddhi na asti means who is not accomplished, his knowledge is not firm. Ayuktasya na bhavana, he does not have contemplation or he doesn't have devotion towards the Lord. Somebody who is not having a control over his mind, usko, there is no peace of mind. He is not contemplative, there is no peace of mind. And a person who does not have a peace of mind, ashantasya kutah sukham. Lord asks, if ashanta person, how can he be happy? Somebody who is not quiet, he's not peaceful, he's not happy with his own self, he's always agitated, restless, wants to achieve something, wants to get something. एक second के लिए भी उसको शांति नहीं है, तो ऐसा व्यक्ति कभी खुश, happy नहीं हो सकता है. That is what Lord Krishna tells us very clearly. Ashantasya kutah sukham. Ashant vyakti kabhi sukh, happiness ko he cannot achieve that. And that's why again it means that peace of mind is the most important if you want to be happy. So here the Lord talks about the yukta. Yukta or yoga means to join, and not just to join or to join or to yuj dhatu se aata hai ye word, because in Sanskrit most of the words are derived from the dhatu. And this yuj dhatu also means to remain steady. So it's not that, once you join with the Lord or the knowledge, then again it goes away, then there is no point. It keeps coming and going. One has to remain sthira. It has to remain steady. So it has to be a firm knowledge. आज knowledge आया है, कल दोबारा अगर knowledge चला जाता है, तो worldly knowledge में ऐसा होता है. You read something, you remember, then you forget. Then again you read something, you remember, you forget. So all the worldly knowledge are like this. But this Brahma Jnana or Atma Jnana, ये ऐसा नहीं है. The next slok will tell us this. So Yukta is somebody who has senses, mind, intellect are aligned with the God. He remains steady and he uses this yukti or upaya for his control of the mind, and he remains happy and he remains peaceful. And the person who is ayukta does not have any control over his mind, senses, does not either have yukti, does not use this yukti or the upaya for his control, and that's why he does not get sukh, shanti or anand. Essentially, shanti, sukh and anand are essentially the same. If your mind is peaceful, you'll be happy, you'll have that inner bliss, inner ananda, and this is all one and the same. And this is what we all yearn all the time. And this is what for which we do all our actions, all our prakriya, pravrutti, everything is because to get ananda, sukha, to be happy, to get some joy. And if somebody tells you that that is part of you, it is all your vastavik swarupa, it's all your real nature, you don't have to go out and yearn for it, then you'll be flabbergasted to hear this, but that is the reality of the life. Indriyanam hi charatam janmanonu na vidhiyate tadasya harati pragnam vayurnam vami vambasi. So Indriya ki again Bhagavan tells us about the prabalta, man buddhi ka kaisa haran karke le jata hai. Indriyanam hi charatam, this Indriya keeps on grazing or roaming around in the sense objects. It is the nature of Indriya. वो यहाँ, जैसे आप गाय को देखते चरती है, ऐसा cow keeps grazing, little bit grass here, little bit grass here, little bit grass here, little bit grass here. Similarly, भगवान यूज करते वर्ड, वही वर्ड यूज करते चरताम. The indriya keeps grazing or roaming around in the sense objects as per its nature. The mind also follows. मन को भी ले जाती है, mind भी follow करती है, because बुद्धि सोचती नहीं है, mind को भी साथ में ले जाती है, mind को लगता है चलो हम भी कुछ. And it also robs the intellect. तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञा. So प्रज्ञा को भी हरण करके ले जाती है. प्रज्ञा is your बुद्धि, intellect. That also goes away. It robs the intellect. Just similarly as the wind takes a small boat into the water, right? So the same corollary, God says that Indriya are so prabal, unless you understand, keep your mind and senses under control, they will never get under control. So we have to be aware of the senses and its movements. Mind kahan se kahan jata hai. If we are aware about this, we think we can actually see these thoughts going from one place to the other. We can ask the mind why the thoughts are going from one place to the other, and we'll get an answer, because all is based on the past, our sanskaras, and what are our likes and dislikes. Based on these, the senses and the mind keeps, and the thoughts keep moving. So what finally God tells us through Arjuna, what we need to do. Tasmat dasya mahabaho nigruhitani sarvashah indriyanindriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratishtita. So स्थित प्रज्ञा के लिए इंद्र निग्रह की importance यहाँ finally is, उपसंहार करते. He comes to the end of this indriya sanyama, और बताते हैं कि महाबाहो, हे महाबाहो, it tells Arjuna, हे महाबाहो, O mighty one, you have already won a lot of external enemies, you have controlled, but now it is time that you have to control your internal enemy. Our most important our enemies are inside us. They are not outside us. Our mind, our senses are our biggest enemies, because they drive us to something that we don't want to do sometimes. And that's why Lord says, Tasmadasya sarvasha indriyani indriyarthebhyah nikruhitani. When all your senses from the sense objects are withdrawn, masterly under control naturally. So here he uses the word nigruhitani. आगे जो word use किया samharate, upasamharate, means it is control with some kind of an effort. Here the word is nigruhitani. It is more like effortless control. So you have now achieved a masterly control, or which is effortless, which is natural for your senses, and then that person's knowledge becomes steady. He becomes a sthita prajna. And then Lord tells him, Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani ta nisha pashyato mune. This is a very deep sloka. It has a very good meaning. In a nutshell, I'll just tell you, अज्ञानी और ज्ञानी की दृष्टि में क्या भेद है संसार और ब्रह्म के विषय में, ये श्लोक बताता है. Essentially, the literal meaning or translation is, in that which is night for all beings, the wise is awake, and in that in which all the beings are awake, it is night for the wise. So essentially, for an average person, does not make much sense. It essentially means कि जब रात में सब लोग सो जाते हैं तो ज्ञानी जागता है, जब दिन में सब लोग जागते हैं तो ज्ञानी सो जाता है. This is the literal meaning, but this is not the true meaning. Obviously, Lord Krishna will never tell ज्ञानी का definition, ऐसा तो कभी करेगा ही नहीं. उसके पीछे बहुत ही गूढ़ रहस्य, deep meaning is there. I'm not going into the details, but just in a nutshell, I'll say that it means that संसार के प्रति, संसार means संसार के सभी वस्तु, विषय, मान, अपमान, your relationships, your ego, your mamata, emotions, attachments, everything, पैसे, धन, wealth, everything. संसार के प्रति अज्ञानी, he is very jagrat, he is very, very aware, he spends most of his time in as a sansara activity. But ज्ञानी इस संसार के प्रति वो सो रहे हैं means he is not that, he doesn't give so much of importance to what he can see, what is the sansar, what is the relationship. इसके प्रति उनका इतनी महत्व बुद्धि और इतना इम्पोर्टेंस वो नहीं देते. That means कि वो सो रहे. और ब्रह्म means आत्मा, परमात्मा, और ब्रह्म के प्रति ज्ञानी बिल्कुल जागृत है. He is completely awake towards that unseen Brahma, that energy. And whereas अज्ञानी बिल्कुल सो रहा है, उसको पता ही नहीं है ब्रह्म क्या है, आत्मा क्या है, उसको समझ ही नहीं आता है, तो उसके प्रति उसका कोई ध्यान ही नहीं है, उसको सिर्फ जागृत जगत जो दिखता है उसके प्रति उसकी रुचि है. That is what he can see, that is what he can enjoy, and that is what he does all the time. So this is the bhed between the, between the ज्ञानी and the अज्ञानी. संसार के प्रति दोनों की वृत्ति कैसी है, दोनों की एटीट्यूड कैसा है, और ब्रह्म के प्रति दोनों का एटीट्यूड कैसा है. So that's now how you can now relate to this shloka. या निशा सर्वभूतानां, जब सब भूतों के लिए जो निशा, निशा मीन्स रात्रि, इट इज नाइट फॉर ऑल द भूत. तस्याम जागृति संयमे, तो संयमी उसमें जागता है. यस्याम जागृति भूतानि, सिर्फ जिसमें सब भूत जागते हैं, मतलब जो जिसके प्रति भूत सब जागते हैं, दैट इज संसार. सा निशा पश्यतो मुने है, उसके प्रति मुनि निशा के समान उनका है व्यवहार, मतलब वो it does not give so much of importance to this kind of a sansara. Finally, in this shloka, Lord tells us about the ज्ञानी की आंतरिक स्थिति. समुद्र का दृष्टांत देकर आंतरिक स्थिति बताते हैं. आपूर्यमाणम अचल प्रतिष्ठम, मतलब he is like an ocean where all the water enters, but still he remains unchanged. Similarly, when he lives in this world, all the objects are there. He walks within, or he lives within all the objects, but they don't change his internal understanding or his mind. There is no difference. That is what he says, apuryamanam achala pratishtam. And that is the person who gets shanti, param shanti, sashanti mapnoti nakam kami. That person has the bliss, not the person who has many desires. Nakam kami. Kama kami means a person who has so many desires in this world, he is not blissful, he does not get the eternal joy or happiness in this life. So finally, these are the last two shlokas. Vihaya kamanya sarvan puvan sharati nispruhah निर्ममो निरहंकारः सशांति मधिगच्छन्ति. परिपूर्ण अवस्था जो है ज्ञानी की, उसका यहाँ पर निरूपण क्या है भगवान ने. विहाय कामान्य, someone has left all his desires. पुमान चरति निस्पृह, he lives without any longing, कोई स्पृहा नहीं है कहीं. And is निर्मम. निर्मम means he does not have attachment. जो attachment हमारा होता है ना, ये मेरा है, मेरा शरीर है, मेरा भाई है, मेरा दोस्त है, मेरी डॉटर है, मेरा सन है, मेरा फादर है, ये अटैचमेंट जो हमारा होता है, माय. So that is the attachment, निर्मम. He is निरअहंकार, without ego, that pride, मैं, ये मैं हूँ, मैंने ये किया है, मैं कुछ हूँ, मैंने कुछ किया है, मैं ये भी कर सकता हूँ, मैं वो भी कर सकता हूँ, I can do this, I can do that. This ego that I have is something that this person, paripurna person, does not have. He does not work from this paradigm. He does not have the I, the my. He does not have spruha. So when he is devoid of I, my, and the attachments of the spruha or the greed, he is eternally blissful and eternally peaceful in his own self. And this is, Lord tells us in this final shloka, that this is a param lakshya of our existence. Esha brahmi sthiti partha nainam prapya vimuhyati सिद्ध्वास्यामंत कालेपि ब्रह्म निर्वाण मुच्यति. So परम लक्ष्य और मोक्ष की यहाँ बात करते हैं. भगवान से ये ब्राह्म्य स्थिति, इस ब्रह्म स्वरूप जो स्थिति है, that ultimate knowledge, once you get this, there is no going back. न विभूयति. Once you attain this, there is no going back to delusion or the मोह अवस्था या मोह कभी दोबारा होता नहीं. ब्रह्म ज्ञान एक बार अविद्या निवृत्त हो गया तो दोबारा फिर अविद्या होती नहीं. This knowledge, once you get, it is there, it is steady, it is steadfast, it does not go away. So wise person, once he becomes wise, then there is no going back to that old status. He doesn't forget this knowledge. Titva syam anta kalepi. Even if one achieves the state at the end of his life, anta kala, at the end of the life, even if you at that step, if you attain this state, even then you develop Brahma Nirvana Mruchati, you attain liberation. So, liberation or moksha जो है, मुक्ति और निर्वाणा, उसके बारे में just this last slide I would like to show. Of course, Tattvamasi is also kind of a, moksha, nirvana. In Vedanta, avidya nivrutti is called moksha. Means when your ignorance is gone, you get the Atma Jnana or Brahma Jnana. That itself is moksha, it is liberation. Right? So Brahma Jnana, Atma Jnana, जब भी हो जाता है आत्म स्वरूप का ज्ञान, that is a moksha. So moksha has to be achieved during this lifetime. In Vedanta, moksha is not to be achieved after death. It has to be achieved during one's own lifetime, that one is liberated, is free from all the desires, from all the dukkha, all the miseries, all the shoka, all the karma, everything. So there's a complete freedom during our own lifetime. It is not a state to be achieved after death. So this state which is achieved during the lifetime is called Jivan Mukti, or it is also called Sadeha Mukti. So during the lifetime one achieves this Mukti or Nirvana or Moksha, it is called Jivana Mukti. But if the same person, once his Sharira, his body is not there, once it dies, then the same person also gets what is called as a Videha Mukti. So he does not come back, or he does not get another life, is not born again. He is liberated from this chakra of samsara, of janma, marana, janma, mrityu. ये बंधन से वो मुक्त हो जाता है. So there is no more birth and he is called liberated. So finally, at the end of any adhyaya, we say this: Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyodhyayah. And this is the final shloka, which generally it's a convention to speak after every adhyaya, because this is the last shloka of the 18th adhyaya. Of course, it's not the last shloka, but the last shloka of the Bhagavana's Uddesha, 66 number shloka of 18th adhyaya, which is the final shloka of Lord Krishna's Uddesha. So that is said after every adhyaya: Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha. So that is finally, we started with Arjuna's 4th question, and Lord answered in form of Sarva, all the Kamna Teja Prajahati Sarvan Kaman Samatva Param Drashtva Nivartate, how the rasa can be dissolved or abolished by Param Drashtva or Paramatma Darshana. And then Lord talks about Indriya Sanyam, control of senses. And then if somebody who does not control his senses, उसके जो पतन के 8 सोपान 2 श्लोक में बताया, 2 श्लोकास. And then we talked about Raga Dvesha, how Indriya Sanyam, Prasada, Dukkha, Sarva Dukkha Nivrutti, because of Prasannata, because of Indriya Sanyam. Finally, Ayukta, असंयमी को सुख नहीं मिलता है, इस मन बुद्धि का हरण हो जाता है, 2 श्लोक में ये बताया. And then 60th श्लोक, finally he said इंद्रिय संयम का उपसंहार किया. ज्ञानी अज्ञानी की दृष्टि की भेद क्या है, निशा सर्वभूतानाम या निशा सर्वभूतानाम. And then समुद्र का दृष्टांत देकर ज्ञानी की स्थिति बताई. Finally, ज्ञानी को he should not be attached to his own self, nirmama nirahankara. Only then with this nispruha he can obtain the shanti. And finally, Lord talked about the brahmisthiti, which is the moksha, final attainment. This is the final lakshya, final goal for everyone, moksha prapti. Initially, of course, sadeva mukti, and finally videha mukti. So that we come to the end. Finally, we can ask this question: who am I, and what is the purpose of my existence? And most of the sadhaka ask this question and start their sadhana, because these are some of the questions that come up during the lifetime of some individual. We will talk about this in the next session. Who am I? What is my real self? We will talk about this. Thank you all very much.